What is up, everybody, and welcome to Futures Trading with NinjaTrader. We've got Jim Cagnina, who is the Senior Education and Training Specialist over at NinjaTrader. So without any further ado, let's get going with Futures Trading. Jim, how's it going, man? It's been a few weeks.
I know, it's Nate. Pretty good, man. How you been?
Good. You enjoy Labor Day? You do anything fun?
Yeah, I visited mom and dad as you're supposed to do, and hung out and relaxed. It was good. How about you?
That's awesome. Just a little bit of cleaning, unfortunately. Nothing too crazy for me. My parents were out for a wedding, and I don't like the cousins, so I didn't go. But that's okay. Yeah, that's all right. We all have that. No, man, but I'm excited to have you back. We're gonna chalk some future. So let's go ahead and throw your charts up and tell me what we're looking at. Looks like you've got a position ready to go.
I got a position ready to grow. All green across the board. I'm kind of surprised we have continuation buying today in general, but we do. Every asset class is green pretty much. So we had this rally earlier on in the today, so far on the open in the S&P. This is the E-mini S&P, and I'm waiting for a retracement to get back down to a 38.2% retracement, which magically is corresponding to the VWAP right now. So I have two areas of interest that are kind of exciting. Remember, this is a real-time simulated live NinjaTrader trading platform today, and I want to be patient. I want the market to come to me, and I'd like to buy a contract at 41.15 half.
All right, 41. And why is that? Why do you have that kind of marked off?
Because we have the VWAP, and it's also right next to that 38.2% retracement, which is one of the more important Fibonacci levels that there is. And the trend across the board has been positive for several days now in the stock index futures, and again this morning. So I'm going to go with the trend, but I want to wait. I want to be patient. I want the market to kind of settle down a little bit to see if I can get a more advantageous fill.
Now, usually when you and I hang out, you're typically short, but it looks like you're looking to buy the dip this time around. When you're saying the trend is to the upside, how are you determining that? Like in terms of, are you looking at the 30-minute trend? Are you looking at the hourly, daily? What are you looking at?
Let's put up a daily. Here's a daily S&P. We bounced off a really critical 3,900 level, give or take a couple ticks, a few days ago, and then it was just strong buying for 4 sessions in a row. We're right up to a 50% retracement level, and I have another trend line up here that's really important at 41.39, and at least for the last week plus, and it was a short week last week, the trend is positive right now as this market is trading above the 50-period EMA right now.
Gotcha. Now, when would you say the trend has changed to the downside, right? Is it like, hey, it has to break below a certain EMA or that line that you have drawn? So like maybe 40-50 crack to the downside. When would you say it's like, you know what? This is a line in the sand. Trend has been broken.
Great question. So you see my dotted line here, if you go all the way back to April, it was an area, this was a really nice area of support, right? And then in one day, we just crashed right through it and we gapped through it. So that was an important level, right? We held for a while and then we didn't. And then if you come all the way back here to this little gap area right here in August, again, it showed itself up as support, right? As support. And we broke through it again. So now, a lot of times support becomes resistance and resistance becomes support. And I think this line is really important right now. And so, again, we'll see if it holds, right? If we close above it, there's going to be continuation, in my opinion, continuation buying on the way up. If we can't get through it, maybe this is going to be a swing high, and that's that.
Gotcha. Well, what up to the downside, though? Would you say like a crack of 40-50 is where you're looking to go in terms of, hey, the trend is now to the downside?
Yeah, on the downside, that 50-period EMA is going to be critical. Right now, it's right next to that 38.2%. Again, I'm an areas of interest guy. I like to look when things come together. So that's 40.70 right now. Then, again, if we kind of start closing below that level, I'm thinking maybe we're going to be either sideways or maybe some more downside.
I gotcha. Cool. So you've got that. Let's go back to the 10-minute there on that one. You've got that trade ready to go to buy a contract at 41.15. You're buying the micro, correct?
Oh, no, wait a second. This is the classic E-mini S&P. So no, we're going the big boys right now.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Yes. So this is a classic right now. Again, I'm going to be patient. We didn't quite get there yet, but we have a series of lower highs and a series of lower lows on the recent candles. So I think we're on course here to get there.
Awesome. I love it. Let's go ahead and check out the Qs and see if you've got any levels there that you like on that side.
Let's do it. I got the micro Qs, always micro Qs. This market's volatile. Oops, sorry about that. Volatile, baby. So I want to be really conservative here with the Qs, but you know, we hit that 38 point. It's a little bit of a different profile, by the way, but we were right at R1. We hit that 38.2%. We touched the VWAP right here, which is critical, and then the next step down is 50. This is looking a little more negative so far. So right now I'm not that hesitant to jump on the long side. I just kind of want to be a little bit more patient here. And then it's complicated by this volume point of control is messy, right? It usually is in the micro Nasdaq. This isn't anything new, but volume cluster, volume cluster, volume cluster. So there's three kind of big volume clusters right here I'm a little bit worried about. I would be a little more patient if I was looking for a long position in this market. I'd probably wait for the bottom of that value area right here at 732 and a half. But since we're tracking an ES, we're going to let it roll. Oh, I do have a micro ES position from this morning, but let's ignore that one for now.
Sure. I got you. So you're looking at maybe around the, looks like 12,760 areas where it's currently trading. I was trying to see where your VWAP was, because your VWAP is usually gold, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I know I changed it to gold and blue, right? So blue is off.
So I see that it says like on 2 o'clock it changed colors.
I know. I'm trying to make it easier for folks to see, because when it's green and red, which is the default, it kind of blends in with the candles.
So do I understand correctly that when the VWAP is in a downtrend, it's gold? When it's in an uptrend, it's blue. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm still in my experimental color stage here, so I'm open-minded.
I mean, it's great though, because obviously you've been doing this for so long that you're still trying to perfect your craft and get better every single day. So I love it. I love to see that. Let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin, because that thing came down to like 18,000s or so, and then it popped all the way to 22,000s. What are you thinking here?
So I have this is the nano Bitcoin that we're looking at, and then we'll look at the regular Bitcoin also. Hang on, let me pull that chart up as well. Right now I'm thinking, let's pull up this is a better chart. This is the CME Bitcoin. So let's pull that one up right here, right now. And I gotta find it. It's at the bottom here. Boom. Look at that. Big dominant candle yesterday, and then a continuation buying today, right? This is a dominant candle. We haven't seen anything this big ever since Armageddon back here in July, on June 13th. So buyers are coming back in strong, and I wrote a note this morning, and it said delay off of equity rally ? Only because this candle here on the 8th wasn't as strong as I thought it should have been, but then we kind of made up ground and then some. It was like, oh my God, the race started, let's roll. At the very bottom, I have a correlation tool that's showing the correlation between the micro Bitcoin futures and the Nasdaq, right? And literally it's 0.94, it's 0.946, it's almost 1. So it's strongly correlated now. Not always, sometimes it dips, but it's still pretty positive here. So again, I think we're going to be going side by side with those two markets right now. I wouldn't necessarily in this particular market, I would be waiting. I'm not looking for places to sell just yet. I'm looking for places to buy instead.
Yeah, so many times we say, hey, look left when you're trading, right? And if you look left, clearly you can see that on the 27th, right, you had the $1,800 level hold. So if you were looking to go long, I mean, yes, I have hindsight, but also we've talked about it so much in terms of support and resistance. You know that, hey, cool, I can go long at 18,000. I can maybe have a $500 stop loss or whatever your risk appetite may be. But clearly that worked out in terms of looking long here. Are you going to try to, would you say that if you're trying to go to the long side, you're trying to break out, that playing the level of 25,000 would be a good one, or would you rather hold and not go long above?
No. You're right. I'm with you, man. Remember, we have a double bottom here, one from June, and so the candle you were just talking about a couple days ago. I have a blue line up here. Again, I'd put a rectangle here. My target wick is circled. This is a target wick right here, and that is at a little over 25,000, 25,250. And so, yeah, no, I think there's some good buy opportunities here as long as this really keeps going on. But you got to be sensitive to what's going on in the equity market. 50% right here is nice. 22,000 is a nice even number. It's a nice psychological number to consider. It's from a over under point of view.
Sure.
So again, I'd be open minded and say, hey, 2,200 would be a good buy.
Now let's talk about the double bottom. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
double bottom, right? Because obviously we see a double bottom in terms of where you had support twice at 18,000. For you, what is a confirmation of like a double bottom? Is it the crack of the new high in terms of 25,000? Is it the crack of the halfway point? Like, what is it for you to be like, you know what? We're looking like a double bottom. Wait, now here's the confirmation of it.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So what I do is I draw these rectangles, right?
Yeah.
And my idea of support and resistance isn't one number. It's a range, right? These are volatile instruments. They move around a lot.
Absolutely.
And so I look for ranges to say, here's support, here's resistance. This was a really nice area of support. And then we tested it again, right? And we got halfway into it here. Let me kind of manipulate this so you can see it better. We had halfway into it, but we couldn't close in the rectangle, right? And so this was kind of a spinning top kind of candle with the body symmetrically in the middle, wick on the top, wick on the bottom. That's a good signal of a potential reversal. Not there yet. We had another candle the next day, continuation buying at the end of this day. That I'm saying, all right, we've already taken out about 2/3 of this red candle here. We have 2 green days. They're not substantive, but this is a good enough confirmation candle for me. And sure enough, the next day, boom, we hit it.
I love it. And then let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of gold, if we will, in terms of what you're seeing in that part of the world.
Yeah, gold, in my opinion, is really, you could use the Euro FX versus the US dollar as a proxy, but really what we're seeing is a direct relationship between gold and the euro, which means an indirect relationship with gold and the US dollar. And I think we're seeing that really keenly today. Well, not only today, but recently, the last several sessions of that relationship coming true. So, I don't think we're in a huge bull run in gold. I don't. I think this 50-period EMA is going to hold, and I think maybe even a 38.2% is going to hold. But I wouldn't pull the trigger and go short just yet. I want to wait and see what happens with the euro, with central banks, and all that stuff that we're up against in the next couple of weeks.
I've never traded gold, but I've always been curious if it's like, hey, am I me personally as an individual? Am I the type of person that would rather hold a gold brick, or if I would rather just buy the gold futures? I still don't know the answer to that, but every time I talk about gold, that's the first thing that comes to mind for me, especially when it comes to like gold, silver, copper, and all that stuff. You got any thoughts there on your end?
Yeah, I mean, liquidating physical
Exactly.
is, what are you going to get, a wheelbarrow and bring it to
Right.
the UPS store? I mean, it's that easy to do, right? Now you could own gold outright with a certificate in some warehouse somewhere, but what's the fun in that, right? So
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the futures markets. You could just hold a position and roll it over forever and do it that way if you want.
Yeah.
But here's and not only that, there's micro gold and there's regular size, classic size gold contracts. Here's a micro gold contract. And I got actually an old trade idea in here that's just kind of percolating right here. I don't know if it's going to be a good one or not, but I'd go with the least amount of work, right? The least amount of work.
Yeah, to me, I'm all about like the point and click guy, right? So for me, it's like, you know what? I want to liquidate. I'm selling. I'm out. That's why I love stocks. That's why I love trading, because I can just click a few buttons. I'm out of the position, transfer the money to my account. It's another reason why I'm not a fan of real estate, but that's for another conversation there. Let's go ahead and check out oil, because that's been a hot topic lately as well.
Really hot topic. And, this is the daily chart here. I'm actually trying to get long at the 38.2% retracement right by the VWAP. Same idea. We're in a rally. We're in rally mode. The market's been up. We've been as low as $81. Now we're up to $89 today. So I'm looking for places to buy crude. And this is the trade idea I have so far brewing. I'm going to be patient. We need about 50 more cents to get to me. 42 more cents to get to me, and then we'll have a long position in crude. And from a daily chart point of view, let's take a look, because it's really interesting.
Now it looks like, let's go back to that oil chart real quick.
Yes, sir.
I want to talk about something. So you've got your stop loss there at 86.49. I'm gonna talk to why I believe that's your stop loss, and you tell me where I'm right, wrong, and what I'm missing. I'm going to say your stop loss is there because you've got the 6180 retracement, right? And then if you look to your left, you've also got a little bit of consolidation, and that red wick is right around that area as well. Are both of those the reasons that you have your stop loss there? Only one of them or none of them?
Both of them. And you're not going to need me much longer. This is, you're not, this is, you. So I just put a rectangle there. Yeah, this was clearly an area of support, right? And we held, so that's where my stop is there. Right. If we start getting into that rectangle again, I'm thinking we could revert. It's a longer term. It's further away. It was early morning. It was pre-market, right at the European Open. So exactly right. And then to double it up with that second area of interest with that 61.8% fib. And actually, now that this market's moved since I put this trade on, we got to adjust the fib, which I'm going to do. And then we'll kind of take a repeat. I'm not changing a thing. I like it. I think we're all good.
So now let me ask you this. You've got obviously a wick that's lower than where your stop loss is. So you like to have your stop losses closer to the body? Because obviously to me, trading is more of an art than a science, right? So like, are you a fan of, hey, I'm going where the body closed, or are you a wick guy?
So in the rectangle, that's a good question. You're right to observe that. Here's the target wick down here with the crosshairs at 86.35. And it's just a matter of how aggressive or conservative you want to be, right? So aggressive would be you'd pull it down to the bottom of the rectangle. You would change your stop to the bottom. If you're more conservative, the top of the rectangle. I was kind of in the middle. And I'll be honest with you, I would be one tick below the wick. I didn't notice that when I put the trade in early this morning. So that's a great observation. In this case, I'd just kind of be a little bit below that wick just to give me a little bit of wiggle room.
I got you. Well, the oil market's coming down a little bit. It's interesting. You've got Apple testing highs and spies below VWAP. So we'll see what happens with the markets there. Let's check out corn. I mean, if you're watching TikTok at all, corn is a lovely little trend going on. But let's see what you've got in terms of futures.
So I have a naked coin chart. Let's look at a daily chart first, because I think my corn chart is here's the daily. So I don't know what TikTok's saying, by the way, other than how to make a better omelet. I'm all about the food segment there.
I've learned a thing or two.
But yeah, no, we have a nice trend up, and then we have a consolidation. So let me really quickly draw a parallel line here. If I could find my parallel line tool, my trend channel, here it is. This is gonna be kind of a loosely fitting trend channel I'm just drawing right now.
Sure.
And that's kind of where we've been the last several sessions, right? It's at the top of the trend, but again, we're kind of wavy within that trend. But yeah, I mean, the overall trend is looking pretty positive here, and we'll see if we break out through. I don't know, we could.
Yeah, you've got a little bit of consolidation there. Now, are you going to try to put a position on here for the breakout or a balance, or are you going to try to short it, or are you just like, you know what, I don't care, I'm not putting anything on?
So corn is one of those markets where you have to be you have to pay attention to it, right? Because you have the technical analysis side is what me and you are doing.
Yeah.
And then you have the fundamental side. You have weather, you have all sorts of, import, export, you have the US dollar, you have all of these other factors, economic factors, as well as weather being important as well. As these crops are planted and harvested. So, and I'm not an expert in corn. So from that point alone, I would have to be trading on a technical analysis point of view. And I'm not so sure that there's a good obvious breakout trade just based on that.
I got you. All right. So we're going to stay away from that one. Hey, cash is a position. That's what we always say. Is there any other, we'll take a look at your tip of the day here in a moment, but let's actually go back to the daily on the SPY if we can.
Yeah, let me just fix
you're fine.
My tabs here a little chart management. All right, so let's take a look at the daily. This is the daily and the SPY, the E-mini S&P.
Yeah, let's take a look at the 10-minute. I apologize, and we'll go back to the daily here. And that's that's on me. I'm seeing something on my chart, and I want to get your 2 cents on it. So you've got the 10-minute on the ES right there. Your VWAP is your blue line, right?
This dark one. I got this right finally. This is how I think I'm gonna make all the charts.
Like this.
Yeah, it's double. I put the width is 2, so it stands out over the actual bands.
Yeah, I like that. So it looks like it's kind of bouncing right off of there. Barely missed your entry. That's the main thing I wanted to see was if you went ahead and got your entry or not. But it looks like you barely missed it. And obviously you're not a chaser here.
No, in my experience, to be honest with you, Zunaid, chasing is usually a bad idea, right? So we come into a trade idea with a game plan, right? Specific game plan. Here's what's going to happen within this time frame. And if it doesn't happen, okay, I didn't get a fill. I'll try again another time, right? That's okay. When you start chasing and start moving stops and moving targets, in my experience, most of the time you're just setting yourself up for a disadvantage. You're not being patient, and you're changing your mind in the middle of the trade. Now, let's say that I put this trade on, and I said, "Hey, at 11:30, if my trade doesn't happen, then my expectation is it's either not going to happen, or the negative scenario is going to happen. Therefore, I'm going to cancel my orders and wait, and then reset." That's the thing in my mind. But I'm not a fan of chasing. I think chasing, usually you get a worse fill than you ordinarily would have.
Oh, 100%. And then I know that because I mean, this morning, or excuse me, not this morning, last week, I chased a position where I had lost maybe $250 or so. However, if I had waited for the proper entry, I still would have lost on the trade, but I would have lost maybe $50. And I think sometimes when we look at our P&L, it's like, hey, what has happened in terms of realized or unrealized gains? Unfortunately, there is no P&L in terms of like, hey, if you would have waited, you could have saved X amount of money, right? Because if you could visualize that, that would have been really helpful to a lot of traders. But let's go ahead and get your tip of the week going as well. I'm going to play the intro for that. And here we go. All right, what we got?
We have a word that's spelled wrong potentially, but that's okay. Pivotal. Tomorrow, CPI, big deal.
Yep.
Not out of the woods after that. Wednesday, PPI, big deal, right? And in my mind, when I say pivotal, I really think it could change the direction, or it could give us reinforcement of a continuation of the direction in a lot of these asset classes. I think it's a big deal. It's the last releases before the Fed meets next week, and they're going to be laser focused on this thing. Even though there's an 88% chance, according to the CME Fed Funds tool, that we're going to have a 75 basis point hike on next week.
So how are you going to try to play the CPR? I know you're not a fan of trying to necessarily get ahead of it. Is that right?
No, I'm definitely not a fan of getting ahead of it. Tomorrow it's 8:30 pre-market. At least it's a pre-market number, and then you could spend some time analyzing the behavior of the market after it's released. But to try to even if you're correct, let's say you're going to assume CPI is going to be a miss. Therefore, I think the market's going to do this, and then CPI is a miss. How many times has the market behaved in the way that is irrational, and you were wrong, even though you should have been right?
Yeah,
all the time. Wait for price to tell you what's going on.
No question about it. Now, is there a number where you're like, hey, if it dips here, I'm interested? Like, so for me, whenever a number like that comes out, obviously this is pre-market, so it's different, but I'm talking about like a Jay Powell type situation where it's like, hey, if it gets to 40.50 or 40.51, I want to go ahead and buy here. So it's kind of like, hey, if we get a huge spike down, I'm going to try to be luckier. Is that just like a foolishest game?
Yeah, no, I think that if you do it from ahead of time, right? I would use the daily chart and say, okay, if we start, the number comes out, let's say, and it's negative, right? We had a bad print. You have really nice moving average right here, a 50 period EMA along with that 38.2%. And I would say, hey, if that doesn't hold, this thing is going to react the way it should. I want to get short. So I would use the daily kind of support and resistance levels and numbers to kind of decide in my mind, is this trend temporary or is this a real deal?
Yeah. Well, you've got the market kind of ripping here. You've got Apple new highs itself as well. Where do you like to play the breakouts at all? So you're not going to try to play the 4140 breakout, I assume. It's just more of a dip buy if I get it. If not, you'll continue moving your buy order up as your retracements kind of move up as well.
Yeah, no, well, exactly right. So, in about in 5 minutes or so, when this bar closes, if we're closing above this point of control or even further up north, I'm probably going to say, no, the trade idea didn't work. I'm going to cancel these limit orders, and I'm going to wait for another 10-minute candle just to kind of see what's happening here. I think R2 is going to happen today. Now, again, my opinion, 100%, but I think R2 is going to happen today in all the stock index futures, and maybe it's already has in some of them. Let's see. Now, here's the Nasdaq. That's a no. There's R2 right there. Let's see, YM. YM is, oh, missed it by this
Wow.
much.
Yeah.
This missed it by this much. So I think these stock index futures are destined to that R2 number. And again, this is an area where people do breakouts, right? All right,
Yeah.
I want to buy in a stop here. That's not my thing, but I could see it happening. R2 here, sorry, it ate my Fibonacci retracement, this whole thing. R2 again, it's pretty far away in this chart, which is telling, this is the Russell 2000, which is telling me, hey, maybe, we should be buying off of R1 and targeting that R2. I don't know, but that's it's looking bullish. You're right.
Now, when you go back, let's go back to the ES. I know you're saying your opinion is that we'll get R2, which I think was around 4140s. Yep, there it is. What are you seeing on the chart that's helping you interpret and create that opinion?
Well, a couple
Or is it
different
more of a
things.
C time?
Well, no, it's just, first of all, R1s and R2s, these numbers do have self-fulfilling prophecy tendencies sometimes. That's kind of number
Sure.
one.
Yeah.
Number two, the volume profile here is biased to the top, right? There's no prices above value up here. Look at the left. There's no light blue, right? So the main standard deviation of volumes is north. So that's bullish. Number two, CCI still can't get below zero for most of the day. It's going sideways right now. I know it's way lower than it was. It was over 200 before. And the moving average cross isn't crossing. It's still kind of going parallel. So you have a lot of that kind of thing telling me, hey, I know they're delayed indicators, lagging indicators, I call them, but all of this stuff together tells me, hey, there's a higher probability that we get to R2 than we're going to get to R1 right now.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. Now, of course, if you guys want, you can always catch Jim and his team over at www.ninjatrader.com/events. Tell us about a couple of shows that you guys have on every single day.
Yeah, so every morning we have the opening range. That is at 9:15 East Coast time. That's, again, we're looking for trade ideas. We're doing, we're going through all the charts. We're thinking about economic releases and all that stuff. And then at the end of the day, every day, we have the bookmark show. The bar's closing. We do the same thing at the close. Same thing. That's at 3:15 East Coast time. And then throughout the week, we have shows in the middle. Everything's listed on our events page, NinjaTrader.com/events. And, we have several shows in the middle of the day also.
Gotcha. Yep. I just posted the link in the chat, so feel free to check that out. Now, you personally, are you someone who likes to trade in the morning or the afternoon? Or where do you feel like you've kind of found more success? You know what I mean?
So overall, in my career, the two times that I think, for me anyway, is pre-market, right? So let's just say, I don't know, 7 to 9 o'clock East Coast time. And then again, after 10 o'clock, after the open. I think it's hard to trade the open.
Yeah.
It's hard to trade the opening range, and at least for me. I mean, other people are different, and I think other people could be successful in it. But for me, it's like, all right, let's let the dust settle. Let's get involved ahead of time. Let's get involved after, and then see how it goes.
I got you there. Appreciate you. Well, Jim, any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
No, just looking forward to tomorrow and Wednesday. Again, these could be pivotal, so be sure you have your stops in, everybody.
Yep, and you've got the futures currently trading at 41.3075, so we'll see how that goes. There it goes, breaking 41.31. But that is Jim Cagnina, Senior Education and Training Specialist over at NinjaTrader. Be sure to check them out at www.ninjatrader.com/events. Jim, thank you so much once again for hanging out with us here today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Talking to you next week.